All right, guys. What you guys are probably used to, we're actually going to take a huge turn from sequences and series. All right, we're going to go back to, I don't know if you can remember from your geometry day, sine, cosine, tangent, all that SOHCAHTOA, all that stuff. This is a huge unit, as you can see by the thickness of your packet. All right, this is a pretty big unit. Probably take us I would say probably right up to Thanksgiving, maybe. All right, we'll see. So pretty large unit. What I want to talk about today is angles. All right, you guys are just used to, hey, there's an angle and it's 56 degrees. Perfect. What I'm going to have you do today is your XY axes. We're going to put these angles on the graph now. You're going to graph angles for me on an XY axis. All right. Before we do that, I need some vocabulary for you. Some vocabulary. All right. You guys see quadrants? Anybody remember where one was? Everyone likes the point and stuff, but I don't know what the pointing means. Top right is quadrant 1. Then where does it go from here? Top left, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Anybody think it was odd? It just went counterclockwise instead of clockwise, but you'll figure out today. So when you guys see my angle here that's graphed in quadrant 1. An angle has 2 sides, right? Everyone agree? 2 sides? 2 sides to an angle. Anytime I ask you to graph an angle, the first side's always going to be on the positive side of the x-axis, always. That's the first side of your angle. It has a name, all right? That's called your initial side. All right, that's my initial side. Always, the first part of the angle goes on the positive side of the x-axis. The second part of the angle depends on how many degrees I'm graphing. Could be in quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that other side is called the terminal side. Anybody got a little definition for the word terminal? Where it ends. Okay, that's where it ends. All right, so again, every single angle will start on the positive side of the x-axis. The other side, the terminal side, will depend on how many degrees I'm graphing and what quadrant it's in. All right, so let's go through all the different types of angles I could have in the different quadrants. I could have an angle in quadrant 1. Do you guys see anybody have any guesses how many degrees that is as I go through a quadrant? What's it look like? 90 degrees, and you're correct. So if I have any angle in quadrant 1, that'll always be between 0 and 90 degrees. So if I ask you to graph 56 degrees, it'll be in quadrant 1. All right. What if an angle's in quadrant 2? Well, that'll be anywhere between 90 and 180. Yep, you guys are picking this up. If I have an angle in quadrant 3, that'll be somewhere between 180 and 270. Yep. And then finally, if I have an angle in quadrant 4, bless you, that'll be somewhere between 270 and 360. Yep. And I'll talk about these arrows that I've drawn in here in a second, all right, why they're needed. All right, let's start basic stuff right now, all right, because I'm going to get challenging at the end, but just some basic stuff. So I'm going to give you a degree measure. I want you to name the quadrant and draw the angle. So I have an angle of 145. Name the quadrant where 145 would be. 145. What quadrant am I in? Let's go slow here. Sarah, what quadrant am I in? Good job. So I'm in quadrant 2. So I'll just put quad 2. Now I'm going to ask you to graph it. First side of the angle is always on the x-axis. There's your first side, positive side. Sarah said it's in quadrant 2, so that's where your terminal side will go. Now, I'm not looking for exactness, but you should be in the ballpark. Everyone think 145, do some calculations on your calculator if you need to. Is 145 closer to 90, or is it closer to 180, or is it halfway in between? Because that's where I want your terminal side to be. So is 145 closer to 90, 180, or is it halfway in between? It's closer to 180. Look on your do 180 minus 145 and If 145 minus 90, you'll see it's closer to 180. So when you graph it, I want that terminal side closer to 180. I'm not looking for exactness, but that thing better be closer to 180. Last thing you need is what's called a rotational arrow. That's what these are up here. You have to show me what direction your angle's going. All right, I am going here to here because we are going to be doing angles in a second that go from here to here. All right, and you got to show me what direction you're going. Any positive angle goes counterclockwise. So that's a perfect angle drawn right there. Doesn't look great for me, but. All right, what about 30 degrees? Here we go, 30. What quadrant am I in? Let's roll. I'm not going to take any of these today. Sorry, guys. Lauren, what quadrant am I in? First quadrant, yep. Am I closer to 0 or closer to 90 for 30? Is 30 closer to 0 or is it closer to 90? Oh boy. Should be closer to 0, right? So again, initial side on the x-axis, terminal side, first quadrant, closer to 0 than it is to 90. And don't forget your rotational arrow saying I'm going this direction. Any issues so far? All right, what about 295? Think about where 295 would be. What quadrant? 295. 17, Sarah, 295. Quadrant 4. So let me get my first part of my angle here. All right, 295, is that closer to 270 or is it closer to 360? So I got 270, 360. Where's 295 closer to? 270, so make it closer to 270. And because it's positive, make sure I put my rotational arrow. You guys thought that angles only went up to 180, huh? Anything on these basic ones before I change the, flip the script on you a little bit? So these were all positive, right? All positive angles, and everyone saw we were going to the left counterclockwise. All right, well, what's the deal if I ask you to graph a negative angle? All right, instead of going counterclockwise, I go clockwise. Watch, before I even graph this problem. So I start at 0. Take a look now, but now I go clockwise. So now I'm going to go down here, and this would be negative 90. See, I'm going clockwise now, negative direction. Negative 180. What's on top? Negative 270. Yep. And then I'm back here at negative 360 or 0. So everyone see the difference. When you graph a negative angle, it's going to go clockwise. So this is asking me draw an angle of negative 60. What quadrant would I be in then? Negative 60. What quadrant? 16, 5. I'm going to get there. 10, we'll get there. 2, 1. I don't care. Let's keep going. There we go. Connor, what quadrant? Negative 60.
Quadrant 4.
4, yep. So I take my initial side, still on the x-axis. That's not changing because it's negative. And now negative 60, closer to negative 90 or 0? Negative 90, so that's what I'm going to draw my terminal side. And now the difference is, where's my rotational arrow going to go? Clockwise, to show that it's going in the negative direction. Go ahead, Zach. Yeah.
Will your initial side always be on the positive?
Yes, always. That's never going to change. Never going to change. Yep. All right, you ready? I got a challenge for you now. I got negative 60 right here. Name a positive angle that looks just like this. And how you get there. So here's what I'm asking. I just graphed this angle, but I want the positive angle with the same terminal side. So what would that angle be going that way? Ooh, how could I figure that out? Well, it's in the fourth quadrant, right? So it's got to be between 270 and 360. And how can I find it? Think I got it? Frank?
300.
How'd you get it?
You,
You're correct.
well, yeah, you get, I guess, 360, and you add whatever negative angle you got.
So I had my angle. Yep, you're right. Negative 60. But now I want to go all the way around in the opposite direction. If I go all the way around, how many degrees am I going? All the way around. 360. So I'm going to add 360 to my negative angle. And the positive angle that's equal to it is 300. Okay, 300. Hey, it's three. Watch, ready? I'm going to keep challenging you. Is 300 my only option? No. Everyone ready? If you got to grab your calculators, grab them. 300 plus another 360. That angle right there could also be 660. We could keep adding 360, and that's that angle right there. Okay? Everyone good? All right. Now, if an angle is negative, what did we do to it? What did Frank just do to the negative angle to find the positive angle? There you go. Add. If an angle's negative, we're going to add 360 to it. And now I have to introduce the biggest vocabulary term today. Negative 60, 300, 660. These are called coterminal angles. Why coterminal? Because they share the same terminal side. All right? They share coterminal angles, share the same terminal side. Basically, add or subtract 360. Okay, that's what we're doing. Adding 360 or subtracting it. Huge word right there, coterminal. The same exact angle, just going in the opposite direction. Questions? You're going to have plenty of opportunity to do that in the Delta Math today. So find an angle, the smallest positive coterminal with the angle given. So I have negative 270. I don't need to graph it. Doesn't say to graph. But can you find an angle that's coterminal, basically shares the same terminal side as negative 270, but is positive? So negative 270 and what positive angle share the same side? What are you guys doing to the negative 270? Okay. Adding 360. And what are you getting? 90 degrees. Now, could I keep adding 360 and get more answers? Yes, but what's the direction say? Find the smallest positive measure, and that's the smallest I can get, 90. Good? And then negative 110. Coterminal, find a positive angle that shares the same side. Negative 110, let's add 360, go around in the other direction, and you end up with 250 degrees. All right, ready? So we know negative angles now. We know angles between 0 and 360. What about if I have an angle bigger than 360? How do I graph it? 640. Ready? 640. So right now, I still have my initial side. You guys got to help me where I need to find what quadrant 640 is in. So if you have your calculator, ready? I go all the way around. I'm at 360, right? Add another what to get here? 90. Go ahead. 360 and 90. 450. I'm not there yet, right? I'm looking for 640. So I'm at 450. Keep adding 90. 540. Keep adding another 90. Ooh, not there. But what quadrant am I going to end up being in? Everyone see quadrant 4? Because I went 360, added 90. What was that? 630. See how quadrant 640 is going to be in quadrant 4, close to 360. All right, now let's talk, because here's the difference. Ready for your arrow? You guys think that'll be good enough?
No.
Right? I didn't even go past 360. So yeah, we got to do a little twirly bird here. Go past 360 all the way to my angle. Look at that beast. That's what I got to do for angles bigger than 360. Could you guys help me find a smaller positive angle that shares the same side as 640? Another coterminal angle. So I know that's 640. Could you guys, what if I just went right to the fourth quadrant? What angle would that be? Could you help me out there? What other positive angle would be shared with 640? How you guys getting there? Yeah, all right, you guys are good. 640 minus 360, yep, gives you 280. Yep, so 280 degrees is coterminal with 640. Good job. So doing what we just did here, but just writing it down now, any angle that measures over 360 can be simplified by doing what? Subtract 360 from it, yep. And let's do that. If I give you 550, I want to know what the quadrant is in and the smallest positive coterminal. I think we could do the coterminal one first, then do the quadrant, right? What are you doing with 550? Subtract 360 from it. And what do we get there? 190. There it is. So 190 shares the same side as 550. What quadrant is 550 in? Same quadrant as 190, which would be 2, 1. We're going to have to readjust all this, huh? Clara?
Quadrant 3.
Quad 3, good work. And that's for 550 and for 190, since they share the same side. All right, 750. Watch what happens with 750. So you guys are like, 750, it's bigger than 360. Let's make it smaller by subtracting. And then what are you getting?
390.
Ooh, what's the problem with 390? There's probably still something smaller that's positive, right? I don't end at 390. Keep subtracting 360 until you get a number between 0 and 360.
30.
So 30 degrees.
Quadrant 1.
Thank you. I didn't need to call on anybody, right? No big deal. Quad 1. How we feeling? Not too bad. We all right? I got one more thing, and that's what if I have an angle less than negative 360 now? I think you guys can maybe take over teaching now. So something less than negative 360. What do you think I can do to simplify it to get an angle between 0 and 360? So like here, for instance, negative 400. But I need it positive. What do you think I can do to negative 400 to try to make it positive? Add. There you go. Uh-oh. What's the problem? I get negative 40, but what do the directions say? I can't leave it like that. Smallest positive measure, right? That's negative. So what do you want me to keep doing? Keep it. Yep, you guys got this. Keep adding 360, so I get 320. Yep. That's the smallest positive angle that shares the same side with negative 400. Oh, I'm really going to end on this one, negative 900. Sorry. What do you get there? Negative 540. Still not good enough because it's not positive. So that'll give me negative 180, huh? Add 360. 180. Go ahead, Sarah. I was hoping a question would come up.
What quadrant would it be in if it's on?
We won't say it's in any quadrant. Tomorrow I'm going to give you an actual vocabulary term for one that's on the line. Okay, but great question. There is no quadrant. Okay, there's 180, 90, 270, 0, 360. There is no quadrant. It's got a special name. I'll give you tomorrow. All right, questions? All right, you guys got plenty of time now. Half the class. In the book's going to go real quick because the book just 11 through 16 is just graphic. That's it. All right, and I gave you space there, and the delta math is name an angle that's coterminal. All right, answers are up on Classroom. Let's get it finished, please. Let's get it finished.